Hi everyone, this is Zhenyang Shan from Market Analysis team, and here is our market dynamics sharing for April. And the first one is about South Korea finalizes 11th BPLE to boost the renewable capacity to 122 gigawatts by 2038 and 6 gigawatt per year. On March 31st, research institution IEFA released the latest report on the South Korean electricity market. South Korea finalized its 11th long-term electricity supply and demand plan in March compared with the guidelines announced in the middle of last year. The target proportions of the renewable energy in 2030 and 2038 in the final plan have been increased by 0.15% and 0.5% respectively. By 2038, the target for renewable energy power generation is 232,100 gigawatt hours, which will require approximately 122 gigawatts of installed renewable energy capacity. As of the end of 2024, the cumulative installed capacity of renewable energy in South Korea was approximately 37 gigawatts, which means that to achieve the target, an average annual increase of about 6 gigawatts is needed. The demand for renewable energy will mainly match the development needs of South Korea's pillar industry, semiconductors, and the requirements of AI. And the second one is about the VSense subsidiary Toyo Solar's SOP PV cell capacity expected to double to 4 gigawatts by the end of 2025, exempt from U.S. tariffs. On March 26, Toyo Solar, venturing Japanese photovoltaic cell and module manufacturer, announced plans to build a second cell factory in Hawassa City, where its existing 2 gigawatts cell production base is located. The expansion will double cell production capacity from 2 gigawatts to 4 gigawatts. Under Section 201 of the U.S. Trade Act of 1974, SOP exempts beneficial solar cells from tariffs. Toyo Solar's first cell factory invested at about $60 million, started constructions in November 2024 and began trial production in February 2025. With official operations expected to commence in early Q2 2025, the expansion project estimated to cost about $47 million benefits from existing infrastructure at the first factory supporting the constructions and the operation of the second facility. Construction is planned to start in April 2025 with expansion completion and production launch scheduled for July and August 2025 respectively. And here's the third one. Wafer output drops 5 to 8% and TCL Zhonghuan raises the price 3% in April affected by Myanmar earthquake, and upward of module price expected to continue on April 1st. InfoLink released a report on the impact of the Myanmar earthquake on photovoltaic industry. The report pointed out that currently more than 95% of the global silicon wafer production capacity is concentrated in China. The earthquake in Myanmar has had varying degrees of impact on Inner Mongolia, Yunnan, Ningxia, and other places, with the overall impact on silicon wafer production being around 5 gigawatts, which will lead to an 8% decline in silicon wafer output in April. Affected by this, silicon wafer manufacturers has once again reported the increase in silicon wafer prices. The latest price of the mainstream size has increased by more than 10% compared to the price in early February. It is expected that the shortage and the price increase of module will continue in April. The fourth is about Poland's $1 billion energy storage subsidy scheme opens for applications. The Polish National Fund for Environmental Protection and Water Management opened on April 4th a call for applications to co-finance energy storage facilities. The much-awaited subsidy schemes aim to improve the stability of the national power grid and the country's energy security. More than PLN 4 billion provided by the European Union's Modernization Fund will be distributed under the subsidy scheme by the end of 2025 in a bid to bring in online more than 5 gigawatt-hours of energy storage projects by 2028. The program provides funding for the construction of electricity storage facilities with a power rating of not less than 2 megawatts and a capacity of not less than 4 megawatt hours connected to the grid at medium or high voltage. The mandatory scope of the investment includes the installation of battery containers, inverters, transformers, battery module, support system, and the execution of tests and acceptance of storage facilities. Additionally, the subsidies may optionally cover the construction of network connections related in infrastructures as well as the configuration and adaptation of warehouses. The program is open to entrepreneurs, including entities in the financial sector. Funding is available in the form of non-repayable grants and repayable loans totaling PLN 4.15 billion, a total PLN 3 billion and 735 million is allocated for grants and PLN 415 millions for loans. The total amount of grant shall not exceed 45% of the total investment cost of supported projects, but that figure may be increased to 55% for medium-sized companies and 65% for small companies. Meanwhile, funding in the form of a loan will be granted for up to 100% of eligible costs. The call for applications will close on May 30, 2025. And here's the fifth is about Botswana faces server power shortage due to thermal plant failure, signing 200 megawatts PPA with South Africa and launches 1.5 gigawatt solar tender. Since mid to late March, Botswana has been facing a server power crisis due to generation failures at 3 units of the Moropo B power station. The repair work is expected to be completed by the end of 2027. Currently, the total baseload power output of Botswana Power Corporation stands at 170 megawatts, which is significantly lower than the country's peak electricity demand of 640 megawatts and off-peak demand of 440 megawatts. As a result of this substantial supply-demand gap, BPC has implemented scheduled power outage to maintain grid stability. To mitigate the crisis, Botswana announced on April 3rd that it happened to hold talks with South Africa's Department of Mineral Resources and Energy to secure a long-term power supply of 200 megawatts. On April 4th, the country also launched a tender for a 1.5 gigawatt solar project aiming to source 50% of its electricity from renewable energy by 2030 and reduce the reliance on coal and imported power by leveraging its abundant sunshine. And sixth is about IEA project by 2030, global data center electricity demand to surge to 946 terawatt hours, with China, the US, and the EU contributing 86%. On April 10th, the International Energy Agency released a new report stating that artificial intelligence has the potential to transform the energy sector over the next decades. This transformation could lead to a surge in global electricity demand from data centers, while also presenting numerous significant opportunities. Further reducing costs, enhancing competitiveness, driving innovation, and cutting emissions. The IEA launched a new workstream on intersection of energy and AI over a year ago, which ultimately led to the development of this special report. The report notes that by 2030, global electricity demand from data centers is expecting to double, reaching approximately 945 terawatt hours, slightly more than Japanese current total electricity consumptions. Artificial intelligence is projected to be the primary driver of the growth. Electricity demand from data centers designed or optimized specifically for AI models such as large language models and generative AI is expected to increase more than fourfold by 2030. And the seventh, our 2024 solar electricity generation increases by 39% year-on-year, reached 7.3 terawatt hours in Turkey. On 10th April, according to AMBER, Turkey's wind and solar generation provided a record 18% of electricity generation in 2024. Until the 2010s, Turkey generated almost all power from coal, gas, and hydro. Wind power started to grow from 2010, reaching 11% of Turkey's power in 2024. Solar power has increased rapidly in the past few years, with a record year-on-year jump of 39% in 2024. Amid strongly capacity installations, this pushed solar to a 7.5% share of Turkey power last year, up from just 2.2% in 2018. Despite the record absolute increase in solar power in Turkey, a rise in overall demand meant that solar's share of total electricity generation only slightly increased. The share of solar electricity generation increases to 7.5% in 2024. And for the 8th South Africa Renewable Master Plan, that is 3 gigawatts of renewable energy per year and up to 5 gigawatts by 2030. On April 8th, the South African government approved the latest South African Renewable Energy Master Plan to promote the development of renewable energy. Its goal is to add not less than 3 gigawatts of new renewable energy installed capacity annually, and by 2030, the annual new installed capacity of renewable energy will reach the level of 5 gigawatts per year. The plan also includes the plan to build relevant manufacturing capacities in special economic zones and industrial ports. Since the major power outage in South Africa in 2022, the pursuit of renewable energy has become financial, and annual new installed capacity has exceeded 1 gigawatt in past 3 years. The guaranteed purchase volume of new energy electricity has stabilized at the level of 4 gigawatts per year. And next, China's solar and wind power generation in the first quarter of 2025 exceeded hydropower's generation for the first time. China's power system has notched up several new clean energy generation records. During the January to March quarter of 2025, cementing the country's position as the global leader in clean electricity productions. Total clean electricity generation in China during the first quarters of the year was just over 950 terawatt hours. According to the data from energy think tank AMBER, wind farms were China's largest source of clean power during the opening quarter of 2025, with the 307 terawatts of wind electricity accounting for a record 13% share of total generation during the quarter. However, solar farms registered the largest overall output increase from the opening quarter of 2024, with total solar generation expanding by 48% to 54 terawatt hours. Solar's share of total generation was a record 10%. New capacity helped both solar and wind assets generated more electricity than hydro dams for the first time during the January to March period, ensuring that renewable energy resources continue to expand their share in China's generation mix. And here's the last one. USA in 2025 Q1, states refined net metering rules, scale up pilots, and expand to non-residential users. On April 16th, the NC Clean Energy Technology Center released its Q1 2025 edition of the 50 States of Solar, which finds many states considering new major revisions to net metering policy, changes in distributed solar valuation, in interconnection rules, community solar, residential fixed charge, residential demand and solar charges, and third-party ownership in 2025 Q1. 47 states plus DC and Puerto Rico took a total of 193 actions related to distributed solar policy and rate design. U.S. regulators are driving a second wave of distributed solar reform. They are tightening net metering credits formulas and settlement intervals, converting pilot community solar schemes into permanent, more inclusive programs, and sharply raising system size caps so farmers, factories, and campuses can participate all to balance grid economies while sustaining rooftop and community solar growth. And thank you for your listening. That's all about our weekly dynamics report. Thank you.